Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to return to Ellon up in Aberdeenshire here in Scotland, which many of you will know is the home to Brewdog, and we actually have their first beer of the 2016 seasonal range today. So we're going to have a taste of Arcade Nation, which is a 5.2% black IPA, and it should be pretty nice. It's rated at 94 overall on Rate Beer, and I think 84 within the style when I checked it out, so it should be another very solid black IPA from Brewdog. I did the Black Hammer a few videos back in fact, and that was really good, so I'm interested to see how this one actually compares to that, because Black Hammer is one of the best beers I've had from Brewdog in a wee while. All of their beers are pretty solid, but there are some of them that just stand out that little bit more. Thank you to my friend Grant for giving me this beer as well. He got this one I think at Dog in Glasgow, or Doghouse in Glasgow, he said, one of the Brewdog venues over there anyway, so thank you to Grant for giving me this beer, and it's actually quite hard to find now, so I'm glad that I got the chance to have a go at it. So yeah, but anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. Since it's a Brewdog one and I've done many of these before, it will be very quick. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other Brewdog reviews. There's about 100 or so of them now. If you do want to check out more of the beer reviews, do consider subscribing to the channel, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. Always interesting to hear from you guys that are watching the channel, and your support and recommendations are always hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Brewdog quickly. So Brewdog is the love child of two guys, James Watt and Martin Dickey, and they were founded back in 2007, and their very first brewery was a very small one actually, just a little kind of industrial unit in the Keswick Industrial Estate in Fraserburgh in the very northeast corner of Scotland, right on the tip of the monster's nose, as I always like to say. But more recently they've moved down to their new purpose-built and very shiny facility in Ellon, which is closer to the city of Aberdeen, where I used to study chemistry. I had many good years up in Aberdeen. But these guys are known for being a very kind of experimental craft brewery. They're largely inspired by the American craft brewing renaissance, the sort of Californian craft beers if you like, and they often cite Stone Brewing Company as an influence on their beers, and you can taste that if you try things like Punk IPA and Hardcore IPA. Brewdog often say they're an IPA brewery, but in my opinion they produce some really nice stouts actually. I enjoy the kind of sweet stouts that they do as well, but their beers overall, like I said, are very solid, and they've done some really interesting things. They've held the title of World's Strongest Beer on 3 separate occasions. They've got their Paradox series where they look at barrel aging and all of this. They've got their Ace of Hops, which used to be IPA is Dead, of course, where they let you try all the different hops in single IPAs. They do many interesting things, but these days they're kind of known for having their chain of brew pubs. These started in 2010 with the first bar in Aberdeen. I was there on the opening night for that, which was pretty fun. Don't remember too much of it, but since then they've spread all the way down through the rest of Scotland, down into England, throughout Europe, and further afield than that. So there's lots of these, and more are planned to open up, and they're also working on their second brewery over in Columbus, Ohio in America, which should be opening in the next few months in fact. So yeah, very interesting brewery. What's interesting about them even more so though is that they're largely a crowd-funded brewery. They have their Equity for Punks program where people can buy shares, and this is how they funded a lot of these kind of infrastructure developments. So for those of you studying business, Brewdog have a pretty damn interesting business model in fact, so a lot of you could write a good thesis on that. But yeah, that's enough about Brewdog for the meantime. You can check out the brewery website below and check out all the different ranges of the beer that they have. They've got their core range, their amplified range, the Paradox beers, the Ace of Hops, and all of these sort of things. Their seasonal beers as well. They're always adding new beers to their ranges because they are pretty prolific. But yeah, that's enough about Brewdog just now. We'll get on to the tasting of this one itself. So as I always do, I'll read out the little blurb on the side of the bottle with this one. So this one says, Arcade Nation, West Coast America up sticks and heads out east. Pack Mania is back, and this time it's gone over to the dark side. A pistol black hop bomb packs the roasted malty punch of a stout and the hop-laden incendiary hit of an IPA. Roasty coffee and chocolate notes duke it out with citrus, mango and pine. Insatiably flavoursome, insanely drinkable, immensely satisfying. This light-bodied hero punches like something twice its size, a Donkey Kong let loose on Rainbow Island. This all-out American hybrid should run for president. Stack up the quarters, vote Arcade Nation, game over. Brewdog, Ellon, Scotland. So yeah, interesting blog as you always get on the side of these beers from Brewdog. I'll just let you have a quick look at the artwork. As you can see, it's the standard kind of new age Brewdog thing. Actually, the new artwork that they put on the bottles took a little while to grow on me, but I do think it's quite nice now, quite nice and kind of modern. There you can see one of the standard Brewdog caps. They've got a little bit about the brewery on the side there too, but like I said, 5.2% black IPA. I do have the specs of the beer here. So this one is hopped with Amarillo, Citra and Simcoe. You should get some really nice fruity character out of those, and it's got a malt base of Cara, Carafa, Crystal and Pale malts. And this, like I mentioned, was the first Brewdog seasonal beer of 2016. So we'll get this guy out and get on to the tasting now. Really looking forward to this one, and thank you once again to Grant for providing me with this beer. So yeah, let's get it out and into the glass. You can smell the fruitiness on this as you open it. For me, that was passion fruit, a little bit of orange coming out of this beer just as you pour it as well. But we'll take a closer look at the aroma in just a second actually. So yeah, let me just bring up the camera and check that you're seeing everything properly. As you can see, this beer has poured a nice kind of ebony rosewood colour. If I put on this light here, as I usually like to do, you can see nice sort of ebony rosewood colour. Feel a solid finger of a kind of beigey coloured head, a very light, almost sandy coloured head, this one. There's some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head there. But overall, you know, it looks exactly as you would expect from a black IPA. If I put my fingers behind it, you can see it's not transparent at all, but that's most likely just because of the colour of the beer. So let's have a look at the aroma of this one more closely then. That smells really nice. This is interesting because you can smell all the different individual hops. I'm getting a little bit of orange, which will be from the Amarillo. You can definitely smell the orange in this one, especially when you let it settle. When you sugar it up a little bit more, you start to get more of the juicier tropical fruits, like the sort of mangoes, the kind of lychees, and maybe a little bit of the kind of gooseberries and things that you expect from the citra hop. You can get that out of this one. But when you let it settle as well, for me, really, it's more the kind of passion fruit that you would get from the Simcoe, of course, and the kind of orangey notes you would get from the Amarillo. I'm not getting much pine resin from the aroma. They said in the little blog thing on the side that there should be some pine resin in there. I'm not really getting that from the aroma, but it'll probably be in the taste with the hops that are in there. But yeah, it smells kind of floral, mainly kind of floral aromaticity. But the malty nose of this one is actually quite subdued actually. It really is more a hop forward beer, but that's kind of what you'd expect from Brewdog, to be honest. But yeah, nice hop forward beer, like I say, oranges, bit of passion fruit in there, and those kind of juicier notes that you associate with the citra. Kind of floral and aromatic, no pine resins like I said. And when you sugar it up, you can get just a little bit of that kind of black IPA malt base. There's some kind of roasted black malts in there. That'll be the Carafa coming out, of course. You can get a little bit of the brown sugar out of this one too. You can smell just that little bit of sweetness, but otherwise there's not too much coming out of the malt base in this one. But it smells really nice. Just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in, as I always say. But let's have a go at this one now. So this one is the Arcade Nation 5.2% black IPA from Brewdog, Ellon in Aberdeenshire, Scotland. Slàinte. That's nice actually. Tell you something, I was saying earlier in the video that I'd reviewed the Black Hammer. This one is pretty different from that. And the malt base on this one it feels a lot lighter. In the Black Hammer, the malt base really had quite a bit of a bitter punch to it, but this malt base on this one is a lot more subtle and it just blends together a bit better. I always say that with beers, you can either get ones that are very punchy in one aspect of the beer and that's what makes them stand out, or you can get the ones that just blend together quite well. This one, the Black Hammer was like that, and this one is kind of similar, but it tastes different. I mean, that's what I love. That's kind of why I really got into brewing and beer and things like that, is you have this process that you can just manipulate so much and you can get all these different flavours out of the beers. But this is nice. This one feels quite light in the malt base. In the middle of the palate you can get that nice kind of pale malt character just going right across the middle of your tongue. On top of that, you can feel a little bit of the black malt there. The black malt is very light and you can get some of the kind of toasted caramelly sweetness, but that's very subtle. Really, for me, the malt base in this beer, it's more about that pale malt in there and just a little bit of that kind of really roasted kind of black malt thing. The Carafa I think is coming out quite nicely, but I'm not getting the caramel so much in this beer. There is a little bit of it, to be fair, when you still have the liquid around on your tongue, but as you move into the aftertaste, that kind of caramel flavour, the caramel, it really disappears quite quickly, I would say, in that one. But yeah, malt base, pale malt, mainly the kind of black malts, the Carafa coming out, and just a little bit of that toasted caramel. On the hoppy side of things, in the back corners of the palate, I'm getting a little bit of earthiness out of this beer. As you go further forward, you're getting a kind of floral aromaticity. I was expecting a little bit of pine resins just from what it said on the side of this one, but I'm not getting the pine resin so much. It really is more of a kind of floral character coming out of this beer, I'd say. Yeah, definitely more kind of floral. There is a little bit of the pine resin in there, you can pick it up, but really it's more of a floral beer, this one. Around the front curve of the palate as well, it's quite grassy, I would say. You're getting that grassier element coming out from this beer, and it works really nicely, to be honest. This beer, the flavours blend together pretty well in this one. If you just go behind the front curve of the palate too, that's where you get this little oily bubble that I always talk about with regards to the fruit flavours, and this one's quite interesting. It's quite hard to pick out the individual components in this one. Yeah, I mean, you can pick out a bit of the passion fruit in there. The orange is definitely there too, but the black malts, you can detect that there should be some of these kind of juicier fruits, a little bit of the mango and the kind of lychees. There is a bit of lychees in this one, to be fair. You can detect that that is there, but it's quite subdued because of the black malt base. I think the Carafa malts, as you're going through this beer, are growing, especially as it heats up a little bit too. The Carafa malts are starting to come out more and more, and that makes sense, you know, when you have like a Scotch ale or one of these more malt heavy beers, the malt base does start to build up as the temperature increases, so that's probably something you want to note about this beer. But the black malts, the Carafa malts, do start to overpower a little bit of the juicier elements of the fruit side of things in this beer. But overall, you know, it's a very solid black IPA. I'm not sure I'd say this one is better than Black Hammer. Black Hammer that's one of the best Brewdog beers I've tried in quite some time. I wouldn't say that this one is better than Black Hammer, but this one's a bit more drinkable, this one's a bit more sessionable. Whereas with Black Hammer, for example, you'd maybe have one or two of those. And to be honest, Black Hammer is a very kind of powerful beer, if that makes sense. The whole idea of this one, I guess, is to be a bit more sessionable, and it works in that regard. So if you want a more sessionable black IPA, go for the Arcade Nation. But if you want one that's a bit more kind of powerful and is more kind of punchy on the taste, I guess you would say, Black Hammer is the one that you want to go for. But this is another very solid beer from Brewdog, probably deserving of its rating that it has, to be honest. But yeah, it's interesting, so give it a go and see what you think of it. In terms of the mouthfeel, this one, I'd say this one's actually quite light-bodied. The carbonation is a little bit prickly. It doesn't really have a little bit of an oily mouthfeel to it, this one. It's more of a wet mouthfeel I'm getting out of this. The malt base has a bit of dryness and bitterness to it, not much in the way of sweetness. It's got a good little bit of hoppy bitterness that builds as you go through the beer. But overall, this is a kind of wet and quite sessionable beer in my opinion. It's quite an interesting one. Like I say, if you want a more sessionable black IPA, Arcade Nation is where to go. But if you want something that's a bit more kind of pungent or prominent, as you guess, I would say go for the Black Hammer. But yeah, no, this one is pretty good. Like I say, the malt base builds a little bit and you get a bit more bitterness out of the malt base as the temperature increases. But overall, it's another pretty damn solid beer from Brewdog. So if you want a sessionable black IPA, Arcade Nation is the way to go. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Thank you once again to Grant for giving me this beer. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. I'll catch you soon with more beer reviews. We will be returning to Brewdog, of course. Since I'm home in Scotland, I've got a few beers to catch up on from these guys that don't make it out to Sweden. But do let me know your own thoughts on this beer and the brewery in the comments section below, and I will catch you soon with more beer reviews. If you want a nice sessionable black IPA, go and have a go at the Arcade Nation from Brewdog. Until the next time, Slange just now, and I will catch you soon. Check out all the links in the description below. Cheers.